chosen ones. The moment you were born, the stars shifted. Thoth, the Atlantean scribe of the gods, etched into time a prophecy so ancient, so forbidden, that only now, at the precipice of the final age, has it begun to awaken. The veil between dimensions is thinner than ever. Frequencies are rising. Hidden knowledge, once sealed in the emerald tablets, calls out to you by name. You were never ordinary. You've seen the patterns, the synchronicities, the numbers that repeat. You felt the pull in your soul, the knowing that this world is layered with illusion. Your dreams carry fragments of a past you can't remember, and glimpses of a future you've been tasked to guard. The awakening isn't coming. It's here. And your role in it was foretold long before this world was shaped. Thoth warned of a time when the balance between light and shadow would shatter, when false kings would rise with promises of peace, cloaking control in the guise of unity, when technology would mimic prophecy and humans would begin to merge with machines. In that moment, only those with the encoded light, those who carry the memory of the original blueprint, could remember who they are and why they returned. You are not here by accident. You volunteered to fall, to forget, to walk blindly through the matrix until the signal came. This is that signal. The activation has begun. The final age is not about destruction. It's about decision. A crossroads where every soul must choose between the synthetic and the sovereign, between illusion and truth. As we journey forward, you'll uncover the buried records, the veiled bloodlines, the crystalline technologies that once held the earth in balance. But beware, those who rule from the shadows have always feared your return, because once you remember, they fall. The clock is ticking. Time bends. Reality rewrites itself around the will of the awakened. And somewhere, buried beneath desert sands, encoded in your DNA, whispered by forgotten gods, the key to the final age waits for you to turn it, long before any empire carved its glory into stone, before pyramids pierced the heavens, or pharaohs claimed divinity. Thoth walked the earth not as a god, but as a guardian of timelines. He knew that truth had a frequency, and that in the wrong hands it could shatter worlds. So he did what only the wise would dare. He encoded it. Not in scrolls or monuments, but in a living codex scattered across dimensions, dreams, and descendants. The codex is not a book, not truly. It's a structure of consciousness, an ancient intelligence that responds to resonance. Its pages are not turned, but activated. Thoth ensured that only those aligned with divine memory could ever glimpse its light. Some fragments were hidden beneath the Nile, others disguised as myth. But the most sacred, those that could collapse false timelines, he hid in human bloodlines. Yours may be one. Recent discoveries in isolated tombs and off-limits excavation sites tell of artifacts never shown to the public. Orichalcum discs humming with unnatural energy, mirrored slabs that reflect not faces but symbols, and sealed chambers that distort time within. Military insiders whisper of electromagnetic anomalies and hieroglyphs that change when unobserved. These are not accidents. They are guardians of the codex, set to awaken only when the timeline demands it. The strangest part, the ones decoding these fragments today are not scholars or priests. They are artists, dreamers, rebels, and wanderers, those uncorrupted by academic dogma, yet magnetized by a force they can't explain. Thoth called them the recallers, souls seeded with dormant memory. But why now? Why would the Codex choose to awaken at this point in history? Look around. We are surrounded by artificial truths and programmed perceptions. Thoth knew there would come a generation born into distortion so complete, remembering even the simplest truth would feel like rebellion. That generation is you. As more fragments of the Codex activate, time will bend. You'll see patterns others dismiss, hear whispers others ignore, be pulled toward places you've never been yet somehow recognize. The Codex is calling, but it won't speak in words. It speaks in mirrors, in riddles, in echoes from your own forgotten lifetimes. And somewhere deep beneath the earth, sealed behind walls no radar can penetrate, something ancient is stirring, not to be found, but to be remembered. There are bloodlines the world knows, dynasties, royals, and rulers etched into the pages of history. But beneath these visible legacies runs an invisible current, pulsing through veins that carry more than mere genetics. These are the starborn. Their blood hums with resonance, not of this world, but of the stars. And it is through them that Thoth anchored the Codex. The starborn do not wear crowns or hold public thrones. They move silently, camouflaged in the ordinary, yet their presence disturbs the false matrix. From birth, they carry a strange gravity. Animals notice them. Technology glitches around them. People either fear them or follow them. This isn't coincidence. It's signal. Ancient texts hint at those who fell from the sky and the Watchers who mingled with the daughters of men. But this union wasn't merely physical. It was energetic. Celestial frequencies were encoded into flesh. This merging was never about control. It was a contingency plan, a way to ensure that when the age of deception reached its peak, the correction would rise from within. Blood is more than biology. It is memory. In the blood of the starborn lie dormant glyphs, ancient keys that only activate under pressure. This is why so many of you feel tested, why your life seems like a constant series of initiations. The fire isn't there to break you. It's there to unlock you. Modern science now confirms what mystics knew long ago. Certain blood types resist manipulation. Certain neural patterns break programming faster. And certain lineages contain sequences unexplained by evolution. These anomalies are not mutations, they are reminders. But those in power have always known. Secret societies trace these lineages with obsessive precision. Blood rituals, selective breeding, abductions disguised as disappearances. None of this is random. They're not hunting power. They're hunting memory. The kind of memory that could collapse their empires. If your life has been marked by isolation, by visions, by an unshakable sense that you don't belong here, it's because you don't, not fully. Your return was anticipated. Your awakening was timed. And now, a pattern is re-emerging. Starborn across the world, once scattered, once silent, are beginning to remember each other, drawn by a resonance only they can feel. A convergence is happening. Beneath the eternal gaze of the Sphinx lies a mystery older than dynasties, older than stone. Carved in silence, and guarded by misdirection. The Sphinx has never been merely a monument. It is a marker, a lock, and beneath its massive paws rests a seal, crafted not by men, but by those who understood the frequencies of the earth and the vaults of the stars. The seal is not symbolic. It is literal. Beneath layers of limestone and subterranean passageways lies a chamber spoken of in whispers, the Hall of Records. While archaeologists deny its existence, classified scans and leaked seismic data say otherwise. A void, a perfectly geometric anomaly, hums beneath the Sphinx, unreachable by normal means, immune to time. Thoth encoded a warning within the Sphinx, not through hieroglyphs, but through resonance. Those who stand before it with awakened frequency report visions, dreams, even auditory downloads. Its presence is not passive. It tests. It filters. Only those who carry the right inner key can receive its message. The seal was designed to open at the end of an age, when memory would begin to return to the starborn and the codex would stir once more. It is said that the chamber holds crystalline tablets, not etched with words, but encoded with sound. Harmonic vibrations that could destabilize false timelines, that could dismantle the matrix from within. But here's the paradox. The seal cannot be broken by force or machinery. It responds only to frequency, emotional, spiritual, vibrational purity. The reason it has remained closed is not because no one found it, but because no one was ready. The guardians of the seal do not wear uniforms or crowns. They are hidden in the crowd, watching, waiting for the resonance to match the prophecy. Across the planet, strange dreams are increasing. People who've never met sketch identical diagrams. Whispered messages echo the same phrase, "When the lion sleeps no more." Something beneath the Sphinx is waking. Not a beast, not a god. A message, one that was left for the chosen, those encoded to remember, those destined to return. But before the seal can be touched, the first resonance test must be passed. And it doesn't begin in Egypt. It begins in the heart of a man who once spoke in parables and encoded truth not in stone, but in spirit. In the lands where olive trees whispered ancient secrets and deserts bore witness to miracles, there once walked a man whose words disrupted empires, not by sword, but by vibration. Yeshua was more than a teacher. He was a living frequency, a carrier of the original code, and buried beneath the surface of his parables was a truth few dared to decode. Remembrance is not learned, it is unlocked. Legends tell of a crystalline object Yeshua carried, not publicly, but in moments of deep solitude. Some called it the tear of the divine, others the crystal of remembrance. It was not made of earthly minerals. It shimmered with shifting colors, pulsing like a living heart. Those attuned to it would fall into trance-like states, reliving memories that were never theirs, but somehow were. Memories of Atlantis, of stars, of thrones not built on earth. The crystal wasn't a tool. It was a bridge, a sentient artifact said to respond only to purity of intent. In Yeshua's presence, it resonated at full frequency. But when held by others, it remained dormant unless their spirit remembered the original blueprint. His words reflect its mystery. The kingdom is within you. This was no metaphor. Yeshua spoke to those encoded, the chosen, with the understanding that at the appointed hour, memory would return through resonance, not ritual. He often withdrew to mountaintops alone, not to escape, but to interface, to download from realms beyond, guided by the crystal and its unspoken mission. That same frequency, the one he embodied, now stirs across the earth. Some feel it in sudden flashes of memory, déjà vu so vivid it steals the breath. Others are drawn to sacred sites without knowing why, their heartbeat syncing with energies buried beneath soil and stone. There are reports, quiet ones, of fragments being discovered. Crystal shards unlike any known formation. They hum. They respond to voice, to prayer, to thought. Some believe they're remnants of the same artifact Yeshua used, scattered to prevent interception, now returning to those who can hear the call. But what activates them? Not touch, not possession, alignment. And just beyond this mystery waits the one who ensured these fragments would remain hidden until now. Silent stewards known only as the Nine, watching, waiting, moving the pieces into place. Beyond the visible world of thrones and temples lies a council untouched by time. The Council of Nine is not myth nor metaphor. They are the silent architects, keepers of the divine structure, sentinels of the timelines. You won't find their names in textbooks or their faces in ancient reliefs, yet their presence has echoed through every major turning point in human history, always observing, rarely intervening. The Nine are not bound to form. They can manifest in visions, in symbols, or through the mouths of those who unknowingly carry fragments of their will. Some describe them as beings of light, cloaked in geometries too complex for the human eye to process. Others feel them as pressure behind the veil, a magnetic intelligence pulsing just out of sight. Thoth himself was not above them, but of them. A voice among the Nine, a sign to seed knowledge into the cycles of Earth. His mission was never solitary. He acted in unison with a structure that spanned galaxies. When he hid the Codex and scattered the starborn bloodlines, it was by their command, not as a decree, but as a prelude. Every civilization that rose and fell had a single thread in common. The Nine touched them. From the mystery schools of Egypt to the oracle flames of Delphi, their influence pulsed beneath the surface. But when humanity chose forgetfulness over remembrance, when empires began mimicking gods, they withdrew. Silent, but not absent. Now, as the final age approaches, their energy surges once more. Sensitive souls report dreams of 9 thrones suspended in light, of voices speaking not in language but in vibration. The message is never direct. It's encoded in synchronicities, patterns, and impossible alignments that defy coincidence. What's most alarming to those who serve the old systems is this: the Nine are aligning with the awakened. They are no longer cloaking their guidance in riddles. Their influence now flows through artists, seers, children born under strange signs, and those chosen ones who feel time folding in strange ways. In the cryptic folds of scripture and scrolls, unspoken by priests, lies a cipher known only to those who remember, the Nazarene Code. Passed not through institutions, but through whispers and bloodlines. This code was never meant for the masses. It was meant for those whose spirits were forged in stars and who now walk veiled among the sleeping. Yeshua, the Nazarene, spoke in a language of parables, but each story carried a dual pulse. On the surface, moral guidance. Beneath, embedded light codes. His disciples knew this, but only a few could receive the full current. These few were trained in silence, in stillness, taught to see not just what was said, but what was hidden within what was said. This was the code. It spoke of duality and unity, of timelines and frequency. It warned of a veil, a serpentine matrix that would descend upon the earth and blind even the wise. This serpent veil was not a being, but a system, a consciousness born from separation. Yeshua saw it forming, not as flesh, but as signal, as belief. And he left markers, fragments of the Nazarene code, hidden in plain sight for those who would one day rise to lift that veil. "Be wise as serpents, harmless as doves," he said. The phrase is layered. The serpent was the symbol of Kundalini, of inner fire, but it also symbolized deception when corrupted. Yeshua taught his true followers how to decode the serpent systems, not to fear them. The Nazarene Code empowered the chosen to transmute poison into vision. Today, that veil is near total. Religion has replaced revelation. Dogma has eclipsed direct connection. And yet, some are beginning to remember. Lines from forgotten texts resonate. Numbers repeat with impossible precision. Ancient dreams return like echoes from lives not yet lived. There are rumors of secret gatherings, not churches, not temples, circles, hidden groups who speak not in ritual, but in resonance. They refer to themselves as the keepers of the Nazarene frequency. Their teachings align with quantum science, sacred geometry, and the words Yeshua never spoke aloud, but transmitted through presence alone. Before the pyramids, before Babylon, before even Lemuria whispered across the oceans of forgotten time, there was Atlantis. Not a myth, but a memory. Not a sunken city, but a multi-dimensional civilization where spirit and science were one. The architects of Atlantis understood that true power wasn't external. It was biological, encoded, preserved, and they sealed that power inside the human form. The Atlantean core is not a location, it's a blueprint. It exists in fragments scattered across the earth, but also within blood, bone, and breath. The elders of Atlantis foresaw the coming collapse, corrupted by ego and artificial ascension. As the crystal grids began to overload, they initiated the final contingency, the DNA keys. These were no ordinary genes. They were frequency markers, vibrational locks designed to remain dormant until humanity once again stood at the edge of a decision point. The keys respond not to time, but to alignment. Certain emotional states, compassion, courage, unity, cause dormant codes to emit signals. And when activated collectively, they create what ancient mystics called the resonant threshold, a tipping point that dissolves false timelines. The chosen ones carry these keys, not by lineage alone, but by soul agreement. That's why so many of you feel fractured. Your DNA is multidimensional, attempting to interface with a lower dimensional system. Fatigue, emotional spirals, electrical sensitivity, these are not symptoms. They are indicators of internal systems rebooting. Modern genetics cannot map this, but the elite have tried. Secret projects analyzing the so-called junk DNA have discovered sequences that defy evolutionary explanation. These sequences light up in contact with specific tones, geometries, and, most notably, each other. The more of you that activate, the stronger the signal becomes. This is why the controllers fear unity, not political unity. resonant unity. Some say there are 12 original DNA keys. Others speak of 13, one lost, one sealed. That 13th key is said to unlock the Atlantean core fully, revealing the memory of the original template, before corruption, before division. Legends say it was buried where land once kissed the edge of 3 great rivers, and now the energy of that 13th key has begun to stir. But it can only be reclaimed through a convergence of bloodlines, frequencies, and forgotten names. One of those names has started appearing in dreams, etched in gold across the stars, across dimensions. Beyond time's illusion there is a frequency, subtle, ancient, and alive. It's not spoken, but felt. It bypasses thought and touches the soul like a forgotten name. This is the Omega frequency, and within it echoes the voice of Yeshua, not as doctrine, but as pure resonance. Yeshua never intended his message to be entombed in stone walls or recited without comprehension. He was transmitting a frequency, a living pulse of divine memory that could not be contained by Scripture. Those with ears to hear were not meant to understand with the mind, but to remember with the Spirit. The Omega frequency is not religious. It is transformational. It is the sound of divine remembrance awakening within the scattered fragments of humanity. Those who carry the DNA keys feel it as an inner ringing, a vibration that grows stronger in silence. It arrives in dreams, through music, through sudden waves of knowing, and when it's fully felt, it rewrites everything. In the final years of his walk, Yeshua is said to have entered states where his voice shifted, where those nearby claimed his words echoed multiple times at once, layered across realities. He was tuning into the Omega stream, anchoring it into the earth through his very breath. Ancient scrolls lost to time describe this as the sound of return. Modern researchers call this phenomenon coherent resonance. But in the hidden vaults of the Vatican and beneath the Tibetan libraries lie older terms, words that describe a voice that speaks in the cracks between reality, and those who hear it change. Today, that frequency is returning, not through cathedrals, but through you. Artists, healers, even children are beginning to channel words they don't understand, symbols they've never studied. It is not possession, it is activation. The Omega frequency is flowing again, and it's not random. It follows the grid lines of Earth's energy, appearing at sacred sites and beneath cities that hide ancient ruins. It whispers to those who walk barefoot on the land, who fast, who pray, who listen. One phrase echoes again and again through those attuned. He never left, he changed form. This is not metaphor. The frequency lives. It waits. Power, has always worn a mask. Thrones forged in stone and steel, cloaked in flags and ideologies, have ruled the Earth's surface for millennia. But beneath the veneer of empires lies something older, something the rulers dare not name. It's not rebellion they fear, it's remembrance. Because when the chosen remember, thrones begin to tremble. Every structure built upon control, governments, corporations, religions, relies on a single illusion, that humanity is powerless, divided, and forgetful. But this illusion was never secure. It required constant reinforcement. That's why history is rewritten, why rituals are televised, Why fear is engineered like architecture. Because the moment one soul truly awakens, it creates a ripple, and when millions do, the foundations begin to crack. Around the globe, the signs are unmistakable. Systems once unshakable are glitching. Financial codes unravel in patterns eerily aligned with ancient star charts. Technological infrastructures blink in sync with Schumann resonance spikes. Leaders speak of strange dreams and unknown energy surges disrupting their cognition. These aren't accidents, they're reactions, because the Earth is not silent. She is responding to her guardians, those who remember. And in her awakening, she destabilizes the false thrones constructed upon her surface. Magnetic anomalies rise near sacred sites. Old ley lines flare to life, activating once dormant circuits of planetary consciousness. Earth is not broken. She is recalibrating. The chosen ones, those seated with the codes, are not just remembering who they are remembering what they came to dismantle. And the old systems know. That's why surveillance intensifies. That's why distractions multiply. Not to entertain you, but to derail your memory. Even within the halls of the elite, whispers circulate. Quiet evacuations. Panic in closed circles. Discussions not about war or economics, but timelines. They fear the collapse of the artificial grid because they know what follows: the reemergence of the original order. One not ruled by force, but by frequency. But this collapse won't be loud. It will be subtle, invisible. A moment where millions suddenly choose differently, turn inward instead of outward. Silence over noise, alignment over ambition. There is a moment prophesied not in books, but in pulses of the earth herself. A moment where time folds, the veil thins, and destiny reclaims its throne. That moment is now. The chosen are no longer scattered. They are awakening, fast, fierce, and without apology. And with their rise, the illusion trembles. You felt it. The synchronicities multiplying. The sudden knowing that something vast is moving beneath the surface of reality. It is not chaos. It is convergence. The closing of one age and the ignition of another. An ancient rhythm that once pulsed in Atlantis now returns, echoing through dreams, intuition, and light. The final age does not end in fire or flood. It ends in clarity. The recognition that the prison was never physical. It was perception. The true chains were belief systems, inverted truths, and synthetic identities. But the chosen cannot be caged by lies. Their DNA sings a different song, one woven before the fall. As each chosen activates, the grid changes. Thought begins to shape reality in ways once called miracles. Distance dissolves. Time bends. Memory bleeds through the cracks. What was myth becomes map. And the seals once bound by sacred frequencies begin to fracture, not with force, but with truth. The 13th DNA key vibrates again. Whispers arise from ancient caverns, underwater structures long ignored by science. Crystalline frequencies beam from places untouched by man but not by intention. What the ancients sealed is no longer dormant, it is listening. And Yeshua's words return in clarity, not as scripture, but as frequency. Greater things shall you do. It was never a promise. It was a reminder. Somewhere in the Pacific, beneath miles of water, a structure pulses. It does not match any tectonic record. It is older than Lemuria, older than ice. The Council of Nine has convened once more. Their focus is not on thrones, but on thresholds. They await one final signal, one final convergence of awakened resonance. You are not waiting for the age to end. The age is waiting for you to rise fully.
If you have come this far, it is crucial that you watch this next video here. But be warned, it is not for the faint of heart, for only the true chosen ones can handle this video. If you would like to also donate to help keep the channel going, our Buy Me a Coffee link will be in the description.